And welcome back. And we're now at part 3 of this week's part 3. Fucking hell. This week's new comics, bitches! So, let us continue. Let's move on to Marvel, shall we? Captain America number 11. Oh, I like some Captain America, especially when it's good, and this was a very good issue. Why, you may ask? Well, okay, in the previous couple of arcs, we were dealing with something that was kind of more of a throwback to, at least in the very last arc, the Brubaker-Alan Davis arc. They were dealing more with kind of more of a 70s vibe that they were cultivating. And even in the previous arc with Steve McNiven doing the art. But now they're kind of moving into the 80s. And I like how this is kind of moving down memory lane, because I remember I have issues upstairs of Captain America, which are like issues like 318, 319, and 320, which really work with the idea of the very first Scourge. Now, Scourge, as you may or may not know, he kills criminals. He's not a Punisher type of criminal killer. He's a more mysterious kind of guy, and there seems to be a network of them. And he's definitely, but he's more after the super criminal than he is just, your standard street criminal. So with Scourge back in town, we also have one of my favorite characters from the 80s, Cap's sometimes partner, sometimes love interest, sometimes foe, that also was introduced during the Scourge era, which is Rachel Layton, or Diamondback, former member of the Serpent Society, who had these specially weighted throwing diamonds. Very expensive, but diamonds are a girl's best friend, as they say. So, she is now an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. When did that happen? I don't know, and I don't really care, because it's cool. And we've got Dum Dum Dugan coming in, too. Now, I don't know how exactly he's still alive, because he was part of the Howling Commandos in World War II. So I can understand if Fury, he's taken the Infinity Formula, but does Dugan also have the Infinity Formula pumping through his veins? I don't know. But it's a question. It's Wikipedia or Marvel Wiki, whatever. I gotta go there. So basically, we've got the threat here is that almost every person potentially in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s WITSEC, Witness Security, basically Witness Protection Program, they're in danger, because there are infiltrators within S.H.I.E.L.D., as there are always, pretty much. And there's a spectacular sequence in which Cap ferrets one out and takes them down, but realizes that there are more of them out there, other than just this one who happened to be a Hydra agent. And I love the idea of the character of Scourge. Of course, it's never the same character twice. I love Brubaker. I love Diamondback. I wasn't too crazy about Patrick Zircher's art in this issue. I believe it's Patrick. Anyway, I wasn't too crazy about his art. It's a little, it's a little skinny. He makes his characters look a little too skinny sometimes for my taste. But beyond that, that's the only problem I have with this issue. I think this is a terrific issue all around. It really, it amps up things very, very well, and just keeps things moving at a very good pace. And so, this is Brubaker at, some of his Cap best here. So this is an easy 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, I only take off the half star because it's moving along. So we have Scarlet Spider number 5. Now this is another title that continues to impress with every issue. This is one of those. It's definitely. I was unsure about it being a full box at the beginning, but I'm really enjoying it. So basically what we have here is we have the Watchdogs, which is more another kind of 80s era throwback, 80s 90s era throwback. It's basically a group that was, they're kind of they're not quite neo-Nazis, but they're pretty damn close. They're against, illegal aliens, they're against homosexuals, they're against pornography, they're against anything that kind of demoralizes the nation, as it were. Fuck. Anyway, they have a dirty bomb that they're going to set off in Houston. And basically Scarlet Spider is patrolling around town with his cop buddy in tow, who keeps referring to him as Scarlet Spider, which he does not like, because he doesn't think of himself as a superhero yet. He's kind of on the way there, but he's really, because he definitely brings some kind of Jack Bauerish interrogation methods to this issue. And we see Daisy Johnson, who is director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, something I didn't know. And also that Kane can talk to spiders. I must have fallen asleep at class at some point in time, because I don't remember any of this stuff. But I never really read much of like Kane's backstory or anything like that, because it's all part of the kind of like the Clone Saga and everything like that. And I really tuned out of a lot of titles during that time. Spider-Man definitely being one of them. But I love seeing Phil Coulson in comics now. That's just really cool. So basically, with these radicals, if you will, or these, reactionaries, I guess, willing to die for their cause being, basically to set off this bomb in this kind of, kind of where all of these, races, have kind of come together in Houston, especially from, just over the border in Mexico. And so it's this one kind of the big bad in this issue believes that that's death before anything happens. And I liked how Kane uses the spiders to find the bombs, or to find the bomb. And just the interaction between him and the cop, whose name I keep forgetting. But this is just, again, just another strong issue for Scarlet Spider. I was a little bit unsure, like I said at the beginning, how this was going to turn out, but I'm glad it is going the way that it is. That it hasn't gotten too dark, because it could really easily go in that direction. Because it still keeps entertaining. And it still keeps surprising. So this is a very solid 4 out of 5 for Scarlet Spider #5. Because Chris Yost, he's great, but I did miss Ryan Stegman's art in this issue. I definitely prefer him as an artist. So moving along, New Avengers #26. This is almost a throwaway issue, because we have, but it may not be, because who knows? Because obviously this is more tie-in to Avengers versus X-Men. And what we have here is that we have, more of the tale of Feng Ji, who is the red-headed girl that is perhaps the herald of, the new, of the Phoenix Force. And we have Leonardo da Vinci in this issue. Now, whether or not this is actually some kind of tie-in idea to Jonathan Hickman's S.H.I.E.L.D. title that he was doing for a while, that had all of these kind of different characters from the past, like Da Vinci. Basically, Da Vinci pops into Kunlun at the request of, the Master to, to kind of see, what this girl exactly is made of. And it shows some of her training, and, and ultimately, she kind of phoenixes out a little bit, and they decide, well, it's time for you to, time for your trials to see if you'll become the next Iron Fist, to fight the dragon. And, And of course, if she comes out, then, you know, she has the power of the dragon within her, and she is the new Iron Fist, which of course she does. But we have this, you know, the Phoenix Force kind of approaching from on high with this grand kind of telescope that that Da Vinci has the people at Kunlun build for him while they're just kind of standing around waiting. And Bendis is really slowing things down here, is really turning down the knob, because New Avengers for me was the reason that I was really getting into it was because it was like the big battle title. It's like all this crazy shit with, you know, Osborn's Dark Avengers going on and all that really, really cool stuff that is really taking a back seat to everything that's going on with you know, X-Men versus Avengers. So I was disappointed with that, but of course you've got Mike Deodato doing art on this issue, and his art is always. It wasn't too great the previous issue because he had an inker. He had a different inker that, or he had, no, what it was, no, because he normally does his own inking. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, but his art was terrific. The story kind of slow and a little bit plodding, and it's really kind of taking the steam out of this title, especially as it ties into Wolverine versus X-Men, or God damn it, Avengers versus X-Men. So I'm interested to see how it turns out, but for right now, it's just kind of it's kind of meh. It is a 3.5 out of 5. You know, it was a little above average, but of course, you know, Deodato's art helps bring it, you know, just that much further. Wolverine and the X-Men, number 10. So we got Cyclops, you know, Team Cyclops coming to the Institute, basically to, you know, to kind of wave the white flag for a little while, so that Cyclops can really get Wolverine on his side. Wolverine is very, very against what Cyclops is trying to do right now. And now, with, of course, the last issue of X-Men versus Avengers, we see Wolverine's kind of been, you know, thrown out of the plane, as it were. But, you know, so this is not exactly in continuity as far as the timeline is concerned. But, you know, basically we've got that going on, this conversation between Cyclops and Wolverine. And, you know, and we have, you know, we have Hope and we have Genesis, a.k.a. Kid Apocalypse, trying to kind of find themselves and their meaning. And whilst all this is going on, of course, we have Gladiators, Death Commandos, have just arrived on Earth. And they're ready to kill Hope and anybody that might get in their way. So, I mean, one Gladiator is bad enough. So whether or not these are actually, you know, other kind of Gladiator level strength, you know, Gladiator strength level commandos, I'd be really scared to find out. But what's really good about this issue are the character beats with Wolverine and Cyclops and the conversation that they have about, you know, how Cyclops kind of ultimately thinks of Wolverine as like the X-Man, if there ever was one. You know, about his, you know, kind of samurai's code of honor and things like that. But we also start to see, once they've left, that there's certain, you know, people are starting to pick sides within the school. And that doesn't bode so well for Wolverine. Now, ultimately, they still want to help the X-Men to find Hope and make sure that, you know, that the Phoenix Force doesn't get a hold of her, but they just know that it might be too late for that to even happen. And especially with Rachel Gray, you know, she's controlled the Phoenix Force before. So, and that was during, I believe that was during Brubaker's run during the fall of the Shi'ar Empire, which was a great series. But this was, you know, really solid issue. Of course, Chris Picciolo on art, fantastic as always. So this is a solid 4 out of 5. Probably the weakest issue I've seen of this comic yet, because this comic's usually like very near the top almost every week. So we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. So don't nobody go nowhere.